Hello everyone, it's Stefano here for our second tutorial on After Effects. Today we will be covering some features very useful, like using masks, but particularly one of the most powerful uh, properties of After Effects is by using pre-compositions. So how we can nest compositions inside compositions, and how we can always refer back to previous compositions for creating more complex animations. Very easy, very useful. So what we will be doing is something like this video here. So we have some squares with holes that are moving, and then different squares in space then create this kind of effect here. So let's see how we can do that. So we first want to make a square like this one, and then animate the square. So the objective is to create one animation, then duplicate this animation different times to create the final composition. So what we want to do first is to make a new first a new composition. So composition, new composition. We can call it base square. Let's go back. Let's shortly the options here. The presets, we will be using DHD TV 720, 30 frames per second. Then the background will be black, duration 5 seconds will be fine. Okay, and this is our composition. So first thing would be to make the square. So layer, new, solid, and we create a square. Let's make it bigger, 500 by 500, for example. Okay, and this is our square. So what we want to do first is to create a hole in this square. So the easiest way would be to use mask. So if we need to make sure that our layer is selected. So we have our square selected. Now we can go up to this button here, rectangle tool. We can choose among different shapes. Let's use the rectangle tool now. So if we click on it and then if we draw a rectangle, we are drawing a mask, and then the mask option opens up here inside the solid layer. And here we have different options. If we click the arrow, we have none and nothing happens. We have add, and this is the what we are getting. We are basically erasing what is outside my bounding box. And then we have subtract, so we are creating a hole. Then we have other options like intersect, lighten, nothing. So what we are looking at now, then darken, lighten when we have multiple layers. Now we are looking at subtract, so we want to make a hole here. So this is the our mask. We can click on it. We can change the shape. We can rotate it. We can basically, if we open up the mask, we have some options we can look at. but we want this hole to be exactly precise, to be an offset of the actual shape. So one easy way to do that, instead of manually drawing like I did before or changing the shape like that, if we delete, if we erase this max, would be to having selected, of course, our square. Then we have our rectangle tool here. We double click on the rectangle tool, and then we have a mask which is exactly the same shape of our initial target square. Now we can play with the option here. So we said we want subtract, and what we can change is the expansion here. So if we drag the slider of the expansion, we're basically creating an offset of our mask and eventually creating a hole. Alright? So our first piece of animation would be to animate the position of our square from 0 to 100%. So to make it as it appears from nothing. So we have our timeline to the far left. We want to change the position of our solid. So if you remember, we can either click on position or we can open up the transform options, and we set our keyframe for position. So we set at 0 keyframe, we want, sorry, or in this case we are looking at scale. So at keyframe 0, we want our shape to be at 0% scale. Check the stopwatch keyframe, then move to the next keyframe, let's say 20 frames, and here we do want our scale to be 100%. So now we have our shape from 0 to 100. If we move a little bit beyond the keyframe, we can click N to shrink our working timeline. We can press 0 for RAM, and then we see the preview. But if we look at the video here, we focus on, let's say, this piece here. We have our square that's a kind of pops up with the feeling that goes from 0 to 100%. So we have to play with mask. What we want to do is this kind of effect here in the mask. Expansion. We want to go to full filling to no filling at all, right? So we want to animate this effect too, right? So we go back to position 0. So we said we want at position 0 our solid hole, something like that. We check the expansion mask. We click key for moving to the next keyframe. I don't know why I went to up. Let's go. We have to move to this keyframe, and then we can change here our maximum expansion to 0. So now with 0, see the review, that's the effect we want to achieve. We can tweak this animation a little bit by delaying this math couple of frames. Let's see the differences. See, we emphasize this feeling effect. One more trick, as we learned last time, if we click on U on this layer, we open up all the keyframes we have for our animation, or in this case this layer. So these are all the keyframes we have now. Right click, keyframe assistant, easy ease. That smooths up a little bit our animation and make it look nicer. We have to render again, so it makes the transition, the movement a bit smoother. Alright, good. So now, if we go back to our objective here, we have not only the one outer rectangle, in this case orange, our is blue, but we do have also a white square here inside our orange one. So let's make that as well by simply duplicating the layer. So I have my layer selected. I can click Ctrl D as duplicate, Ctrl D. So basically I copy and paste a layer. So this is my copy layer. If I go to layer, solid settings, I can change. In this case I want to change the color of my square, and I want it to be white. Let's make it white. Okay. Okay. So now I cannot see it because it's below the blue layer. So layer distribution here works like Illustrator or Photoshop. Whatever is at the top stays at the top in my preview too. But in this case, I want it to be inside my my blue square, and one way to do that would be to simply delay. I delay the starting point in time on my white square. Let's see what it does. So it starts a little bit after the blue one. We can actually emphasize that by moving a couple of frames more. Probably too much. Okay, this looks good. Here we go. Very good. We just are missing one piece of animation for creating something similar to that, which is in this case an orange square which is inside the two squares we are just made. So let's do that by creating layer, new, solid. We want it to be the same color of our external one, so we can pick the color with the color picker here, click on it, and we have the blue color that we want it to be, and then we can scale it down, and we want to animate these dimensions. So we want this guy to go from 0 scaling to something that stays inside the square, and then we want uh, the square. If we go back to we want the square to stay for a couple of seconds, so we create some kind of delayed effect with the small squares inside. Let's do that as well. So first thing we said, we want to animate the scale of this little object. So we go 0, we want scale to be 0, and then we check the stopwatch. Then we move to the next keyframe, the right one, and here we want the scale to be something like that. Let's see how it looks. 0. Alright, looks good to me. We said we not only want to animate the scale, we also want to square to stay longer than our two bigger squares, and then slowly fading out. So we want to animate the opacity of the squares too. So at this point, if we scroll down the different options, we have opacity. We can set 100% here, fine, and then after a couple of seconds or so, we can make this square disappear, so 0%. So we have to expand our timeline here to include our new keyframe. We press 0, we load all the frames, and then we see. So we have two main squares and then our smaller square here that slowly disappears. Alright, we can also apply the easy ease option to these keyframes too. So keyframe assistant easy ease. That makes it look better. Very good. So we are done with our first piece of animation, and then what we want to do is to select all these three layers and right click. We can click on pre-compose. So we create a pre-composition. Pre-compose. We can give a name to this pre-composition. Let's call it square. Okay. So now we have our composition here. That is a layer inside our main composition. So what we can do with that? Very easily. We can simply click on it, duplicate this layer, so Ctrl D, and then we can scale down this new layer. We can move it here, space. We can rotate it of degrees. Then we can run here the animation. So now they are all starting at the same time, so we can add some delay to make it look more interesting. And then we can add many of them. So we can this guy, scale it up a bit, rotate some degree, delay in time, then run. So this is very important in After Effects. So here we have our original square comb in the middle, and then here this is the one that we copied right now, this bigger one. So you can see that the original one looks good, neat, whereas the new one that we just scaled up, it doesn't look neat. The edges are not that sharp, right? Um, that's very important. So how can we fix that? How can we make it as a vector style layer so as we don't care about the scaling? We always see neat and nice edges. And that's the power of nesting and pre-composing in After Effects. We can always go back to the initial composition. In this case, it's square. We can double click on it. It opens up our composition here, square, and here we can change, for example, the color of the white solid composition. Sorry, layer solid settings. Instead of being white, I want it to be green. Okay. I go back to my master animation, and my inner square now is red. It's green. Let's go back. Let's keep it white. What I wanted to change is to something related to this problem of the sharp edge. So if I go to the original animation composition, there is an option here in the layer tab, which is called continuously rasterize. So if we check that, continuously rasterize, continuously rasterize, continuously rasterize, we go back to our master composition. We click 0 um, to our main to frame to reload the frames, and now we see that the edges are pretty sharp. That's very important. Alright, then we can keep going with that. We can multiply here, rotate them, some space, add something very big, scale, like that, delay time, click 0, we render out, then we have our animation here. So working with nesting composition is very effective in After Effects, and we can make more complex animations by using very simple pre-comps, and we can always, as I said, go back to the original one. When we have multiple compositions, there is a useful tool for seeing this nesting of the different comps, which is called your composition mini flowchart. We click on it, and now we see that inside our master composition there are 5 of the original square composition. There is also another way to look at it is by going here to the flowchart, sorry, to the preview window and click on composition flowchart. So here it's kind of a grasshopper like with kind of representation, which we have input and output and connections. And here we can see all the different relationships between our composition, but we don't have to look now so much in details. We usually just need to look at this nesting of compositions. So finally, let's see how we can create an animation from how we can actually export the animation from here, from the After Effects. So now we have just seen only seen the preview, but we haven't actually created any animation. So we can go to File, Export, Add to Render Queue. So now we see that our composition is on a new tab, which is called Render Queue. And here, before rendering out the animation, we can first set some options. We can click Render Settings. Here we have bass, full resolution, and we can leave everything as it is. Then we can set the output module, and here we can specify which kind of video format we want. Format, and I will recommend to use H264. This is the MP4 used by YouTube. Very easy, very like good way for compressing our animations. Then we have let's okay here, and then we just need to specify where we want to save our animation. Let's call it test. Okay, and then we can click on render. So now when rendering, we can see all the different frames, and then done. We have our test animation. Here, I can click on it. You can see it. All right, very good. That's it for the second workshop of second tutorial of After Effects. Thank you.